Have you ever found yourself caught in a loop of worry, where no matter what you do, your mind keeps circling back to the same fears or what ifs? Those patterns can feel frustrating, exhausting, and overwhelming. Welcome back to Quieting Anxiety. I'm Dr. Monica Frank with Excel at Life, and today we're going to explore how patterns of thinking influence anxiety and what you can do about it. Let's begin with a grounding breath. Inhale slowly and exhale slowly. Just let your shoulders drop and picture yourself standing at the edge of a calm, still lake. The surface is smooth, reflecting the soft light of the sky. A single leaf drifts down and lands on the water, sending ripples outward. Let your thoughts be like those ripples. Notice them as they drift away. You're not trying to stop your thoughts or chase them away. You're simply observing, gently letting go of the ones that don't need your attention right now. This is a mindful way of being with your thoughts, open, steady, and grounded. Some thoughts may drift away softly, others may tug at your focus. That's okay. Just acknowledge them and let them float past, like leaves touching the water, which ripples outward and fades away. What remains is the stillness beneath, the space to focus. Let your mind settle gently into this moment. You are here, present, ready to learn, to reflect, and to grow. You may not realize it, but your brain naturally works in patterns. These mental habits help you navigate the world. They make everyday life manageable, helping with recall, focus, and problem solving. But the same mechanism that keeps you organized and productive can also keep you stuck, especially when those patterns turn anxious. Let me give you an example about patterns from my own experience. When I'm writing an article, my mind often locks onto the topic. Even if I step away to do something else, the ideas keep bubbling up, and I have to jot them down before I lose them. But when I'm working on something like computer coding, which is very structured and logical, I find it hard to switch gears into creative writing. The shift does not come easily. This happens with emotional patterns too. If I've been worrying about my husband's health, I sometimes find myself stuck in the loop of fears and what ifs. The thoughts become sticky, and I have to very deliberately coax my attention back to the present moment. Just like physical habits, mental routines can develop quickly. If you've ever been sick and had trouble getting back to your exercise routine, you know how easily a new pattern forms and how difficult it can be to change. Our minds are drawn to the familiar, even when it's uncomfortable. If you've been anxious for a while, you might frequently return to thoughts like, what if I have a panic attack? Or what if people notice something's wrong? These worries become well-worn paths in your brain. Changing these patterns takes effort, but it's possible. And that's where cognitive therapy comes in. Each day you have thousands of thoughts. Some are practical, I need to get groceries. Others are significant, should I look for a new job? And many are self-reflective. What if I fail? What if something bad happens? These thoughts are part of a broader process called cognition, how we think, sense, and interpret the world. Cognitive therapy is based on the idea that your thoughts can be trained, just like your body can be trained with movement. Your thoughts might seem automatic, like breathing, but how you think can be reshaped. And just like with breathing, a small shift in your thinking can dramatically change how you feel. You've learned to think the way you do through your experiences, your upbringing, your schooling, your relationships. But that learning isn't always accurate. Sometimes we've absorbed beliefs that are distorted or unhelpful, like, if I'm not constantly productive, I'm failing. Or, if something bad could happen, I need to prepare for the worst. That's why it's so important to pause and examine our thinking. Otherwise, our thoughts will influence our emotions and actions without us even realizing it. Let's take a moment to talk about the kinds of thoughts we have. They tend to fall into three categories: helpful, neutral, and harmful. Helpful thoughts support your well being. For example, this is tough, but I've gotten through difficult things before. Neutral thoughts are everyday chatter, like, I need to plug in my phone. They float in and out without much emotional impact. Harmful thoughts, however, are often distorted and inaccurate. These are the ones we focus on most in cognitive therapy. Think about thoughts like, if I have a panic attack in public, people will think I'm crazy. Or I'll die if this anxiety keeps getting worse. Or I can't handle this. These are assumptions, exaggerations, or false predictions, not facts. But they can feel intensely real in the moment. That's the tricky part. Just because you think something doesn't mean it's true. These automatic thoughts often go unexamined. They arise so quickly that they seem like truth. But really, they're shaped by past experiences, fears, and misinterpretations. When we learn to examine these thoughts, we can begin to challenge them, not with forced positivity, but with clarity. We learn to ask, is this thought helpful? Is it based on evidence? Is it the only possible way to interpret the situation? As we discussed in a previous episode, anxiety often becomes a cycle. It might start with a trigger, a situation, a sensation, or even a thought. That trigger sparks physical symptoms: a racing heart, a tight stomach, a sense of unease. Your mind then interprets those symptoms. What if I'm losing control? Or this must mean something terrible is happening. Those interpretations escalate the symptoms, and the cycle repeats. Thoughts fueling symptoms, and symptoms fueling more anxious thoughts. The key to breaking the cycle lies in how you interpret the symptoms. If you tell yourself, this is just anxiety, it will pass, your nervous system has a chance to settle. But if you jump to, this could be a heart attack, or I won't be able to function, your body stays in high alert. That's how much power thoughts have over anxiety, and why they're so central to managing it. Now, it's important to remember that not all thinking patterns that affect anxiety are obvious. Some thoughts directly increase anxiety, like catastrophizing or expecting danger everywhere. But others are more subtle. For instance, perfectionistic thinking might sound like, I'll relax after I get everything done. That doesn't sound anxious on the surface, but it creates a chronic sense of pressure, keeping your nervous system activated. Over time, this contributes to anxiety, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. Other thoughts might discourage action. What's the point? It won't make a difference anyway. These can stop you from using the tools that could actually help reduce anxiety. Or you may think, I've always been like this, I'll never change, which chips away at your motivation. These beliefs don't always look like anxiety, but they sustain it by blocking progress. That's why in cognitive therapy, we look at all patterns of thinking, not just the ones that look anxious. Any pattern that increases stress, interferes with problem solving, or undermines change can feed anxiety in the long run. So for your task this week, I encourage you to take the Cognitive Styles Test, available on Excel at Life's website or in the Quieting Anxiety app. It's a helpful starting point for becoming more aware of your mental habits. And here's something else you can begin right now. Start using the Cognitive Diary in the Quieting Anxiety app. You don't need to analyze yet, just observe. Record events that cause distress. Select the emotions you felt. Write down the thoughts you noticed. You can also do the same thing in a journal if you're not using the app. You're practicing awareness, building the skill of noticing without judgment. In a future episode, I'll show you how to begin shifting those thoughts, but today it's enough to notice. Let's end today with a few quiet breaths. Inhale gently and exhale slowly. Picture yourself still standing at the edge of that calm lake. The water reflects the sky, still and clear. Once again, allow your thoughts to float by, like when a leaf touches the surface of the lake, causing soft ripples to float away. There's no need to grasp or push anything away. Just observe. Let them come and let them go. This is mindfulness in action, being present with your thoughts, without judgment or urgency. You're learning to create space between your thoughts and your reactions. And in that space, there is calm. There is possibility. There is you showing up for yourself. With one final breath, remind yourself, you are growing, you are learning, and you are making progress. You're learning to step back from those thoughts to create space, and in that space, something powerful happens. Choice. The ability to respond rather than react. You don't have to figure everything out at once. You're already doing the work. Until next time, keep practicing, keep breathing, and keep moving forward.